What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's the Wager Alarm Tuesday night live stream. I'm your host, Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish. We like to recap our plays in the Super Contest and the Golden Nugget Ultimate Football Challenge, but we also like to look ahead at what the upcoming lines look like for both college and NFL. Before we get started, though, Craig, you wanted to talk about something. You had a kind of an interesting stat you wanted to share, huh?
Yeah, you get to this time of the year and you realize that some trends, you'd wonder if they're trends or if there's something more behind it. So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this one because, clearly we could just blindly take a look at some of these bets this week and we could choose to go with them if we wanted to. But through the 6 weeks that the teams that have played in London, the NFL has been very smart about it and given them the week off after that. And the last 6 times it has happened, teams have lost straight up and against the spread. So, kind of wondering your thoughts, Howard, if you think that this is just a trend or if this is something that can continue to happen. Because if so, I suppose that would mean that we'd be fading Jacksonville and Houston this week. And, look, I don't know. Maybe it's just having the extra time off and flying around all over the country. I don't know the answer to it, but it's definitely a bizarre stat.
It is kind of an interesting stat. And listen, it's kind of funny because we talk all the time in terms of baseball where I don't like, betting games that are daytime games because baseball players are creatures of habit and they're so used to playing at nighttime that when you throw in a day game there, it always tends to kind of throw it off. And I've noticed that. I started noticing that in DFS, and then I just started laying off of those games altogether. So when you're talking about taking that flight across country, dealing with the time zone changes. You're also dealing with the fact that you're coming back for a full bye week. So there's no practice the next day. The next 2 days, people are still sitting there getting themselves acclimated, getting themselves ready. And it's kind of a short week of prep for them. So, listen, I don't think that this is a trend to ignore. I've always kind of wondered just really how much teams falter about, with the trip to London. Jacksonville's probably the best team to take a look at from a long-term standpoint. I mean, they're not a great team that, that you put your trust in them.
No, they're not. But look, they went to London having the full experience of doing this for the last 5 years and fell completely flat when they played against Houston a couple of weeks ago. So look, they get the Colts this week and come Friday, we can make our decisions, but you do get to this time of the year and you start to notice some trends of things that teams do, both offensively and defensively. And, some of them you can use, I think, in your wagering opportunities. But I just thought that I would bring that to the show today because it is happening right now. The teams that are coming off of those London games in general are not doing really well.
Well, let's look at them. Take a quick look here. Jacksonville against Indianapolis. Jacksonville, I see at minus, Indy's at -3.
Right. Well, I mean, to use that for any contest, you'd be rolling the dice that Jacoby Brissett is playing, and by taking Indianapolis, you're making a huge, choice and judgment there. The equivalent is a lot of people are complaining about the Super Contest last week because they took Detroit, and then of course Matthew Stafford didn't play, and that kind of came out of nowhere, and that was a big loss for a lot of people in the Super Contest because when we looked at that spread, it was 3 or 2.5. So those are decisions that you have to make in the early part of the week that sometimes you don't know.
Isn't that risk? That's part of it. I mean,
look, we thought we had a great pick last week with Kansas City only laying 3.5 or 4, and I felt really good about that, being up 10-0 after 1 and being up 14 points after 3.
But that wasn't an injured player that we're talking about.
No. Well, yeah, it was Mahomes. Yeah, it was.
He was always playing. We knew he was always playing.
No, at the time that the Super Contest lines came out, the line was 3.5 or 4. When they announced him in on Thursday night, the line went to 6.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
I mean, we thought we assumed that he was playing. I think a normal person would assume that.
Right.
But this line does make no mistake about it. This line here to you and I says Jacoby Brissett is playing. But to Las Vegas, they're hedging right now, saying that they're not sure. If they announce that Jacoby Brissett is playing, Jacksonville is going to be a 4-point favorite or 4.5-point favorite for sure going into this game.
If Jacoby Brissett's not playing,
if he is playing, this is going to move. This line's going to move at least a point.
Well, Indy's favored by 3.
Correct. And
if they announce
it would
go down to 2,
if they announce Brissett playing,
right,
the line Indianapolis is going to be more of a significant favorite. Right now, the line says the assumption is, like Mahomes last week, that Brissett is playing.
Okay.
But they're also hedging a little bit here at the 3 just in case he is not. Indianapolis is a better team than Jacksonville, and it's not particularly close. They should be more than a 3-point favorite. But this is telling you that there's still a chance that Hoyer is going to play.
No confidence in Nick Foles in his first game back?
Not really. No, not really. Indy's a good team. If you lose your best 2 players on the team on offense, how are you supposed to perform? And by the way, your second best. I mean, Andrew Luck, done. Brissett, done. T.Y. Hilton, done. Like, I don't know how they're supposed to compete against anybody. So if we were doing the Super Contest lines will come out tomorrow, and Indy will be 3. And then when we come back Friday, if Brissett practices Thursday, this line's going to be higher for sure. 3.5, 4 for sure.
All right. What about Baltimore at Houston? Houston at Baltimore, I mean. So right now it's the Ravens -4. You're probably just licking your chops. I know you hate Houston.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, Baltimore seems to be bulletproof right now. But you would think that there's got to be some letdown with them this year, but it doesn't look like it. But no, I'm not a fan.
That's what we said about Baltimore with a potential letdown at after that New England game.
That's right, and that ended up being a horrible pick. So, but why don't we get into that? We could start reviewing the picks from last week.
All right, let's do it. Let's start with the bad first, and then we'll finish on a high note here.
Okay,
because we went 1-3-1 in the Super Contest.
Oh wow,
yeah,
bad week.
And I did not get my text from you because the Bills were the push. You said if this pick was terrible, you were going to text me immediately on it.
It was not terrible. It was not great either, though. I mean, we were fortunate to get that. The line closed at 2.5.
Yeah. Well, that was terrible. So we ended up with the push there, and I feel all right about that. The other games, though,
it was a nightmare.
Let's start with Baltimore, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati was a complete nightmare. And a complete misjudgment. I thought Cincinnati would show up to play in that game, and what are you going to say? It was a horrible pick. I mean, amongst the worst 5 picks we've had this year, that's going in there. That's it. I mean, I'm not going to make any excuses for it.
Listen, we're not going to make any excuses for anything. We make the picks. We make the picks.
No,
we're living in dying time.
I mean, what are you going to say? They couldn't stop anybody. Since he couldn't stop defense at all. Finley threw a pick 6. I felt even we were in the game for a while there, but realistically,
we were in the game for like 5 minutes, dude.
We were in the game before it started.
we were in the nowhere game. Near.
We were in the game a few days before.
Exactly.
When we were doing this live stream on Tuesday, we were in the game.
When we first mentioned it, when
I was born in 1973, we were in it.
In weeks. I'm older than you.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea. You look so much older than I do.
Really?
No, I have no idea.
It's taken the Bengals all these years.
Ay. All right, so we lost on the Bengals. We lost on the Chiefs.
The Chiefs was a terrible beat, man. The Chiefs, I was looking at that game. I'm like, oh, we got this one easy. No,
that was crazy. That was a nightmare. I was like, and we weren't even in it at the end. Like, that was the thing.
After 3 quarters, if I'm not mistaken, it was 3 quarters in. Hill caught a touchdown. They were up 10, and Tennessee had the ball 4th and 17 and punted. I'm like, oh, okay, we got this. And then all of a sudden, they just came roaring back in. The Chiefs have no defense, Howard. None. They cannot stop anybody. I don't see them going anywhere this season with that defense. Nowhere. I think the Raiders have a better chance to go further than Kansas City.
Okay. All right. So are you all over the Raiders laying 10.5 against the Bengals this week?
No, I don't know about that, but Raiders are kind of wishy-washy. But
I just want to see how early we can get in on the Bengals again this week.
Look, we took the Raiders last Thursday night. They got to win it for us. We just didn't use it maybe we should start using our Thursday night games in the contest. We've been doing okay there.
You know what? Pittsburgh is our best friend. Maybe we should.
Pittsburgh got us a win this week. All right, so Cincinnati was a loss.
Yep.
Buffalo was a push. Chiefs was a loss. Pittsburgh was a win, an easy win, and then Dallas Sunday night, right? I feel like that was bad play calling. I'm not going to be upset about that one. They had the ball. They threw I mean, I couldn't figure that game out, right? Like Prescott, he just kept throwing. They get the ball first and goal. Elliott runs into the line 2 times in a row. Then they throw to Elliott on third down. I don't know what happened there. But, look, if it's coming down to the last play of the game, I'm not going to complain. And you're going to be if you get to that point in any game, you can't complain.
No, but for the same token, though, we can't sit there and say that, Minnesota always screws us, because I still like the Vikings.
All right.
I don't like them at 10.5 over the Denver Broncos this week, but that's a different story.
Yeah. So those are the 5 picks. How about the Golden Nugget?
How about the Golden Nugget? All right. So for the Golden Nugget, we actually went 4-3 again.
Yeah, we're good in that contest because college.
Because of college, and that's really what it came down to. So we lost Louisville.
They got killed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then we did a nice little happy dance for Minnesota.
Minnesota was a great pick. One of the best picks we've had all year long.
So great.
Easy from the beginning to the end. There was never a doubt that they weren't going to cover that game.
And I had somebody who was touting Penn State.
Easy pick. Easy pick. Our first pick of the week in college.
Boom. Loved it. Kansas State. They're
easy
our friends.
Pick. Easy pick. No problem with Texas. Texas is fading, no doubt. Their defense is struggling a lot. Kansas State is going to be an interesting team next year. They're going to be a really interesting team to keep. They've really been impressive this year.
San Diego State.
Not impressive.
I don't know what the hell happened there. Yeah, that was terrible.
I mean, you're 17-point favorite and lose outright. You know what you do? You just you don't talk about it. You just move on. I don't know. I mean, Nevada beat them.
Nevada hasn't scored 10 points in a game at all during the year.
I mean, that's when a 17-point favorite loses outright, you just move on,
So then we moved on to San Jose State, who covered in there was a late night game.
Yeah, against Hawaii. Pretty relatively easy too.
Yeah, it was a little bit more high scoring than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, neither of those teams play defense, and Hawaii is now 4-18 against the spread in their last 22 at home.
So we go 3-2 in college, and then we went 1-1 in the NFL. We lost with the Chiefs, -4.
Right. Seemed like number one most picked team in the Super Contest, Kansas City.
All right. And then we hit with the Steelers. Yeah. The number one team in the Super Contest every week is losing. We're like on a 6-week losing streak now. The most picked team loses. Okay, so when we pick our games this week, if we have the number one team, we can cry. We're going down. Going down. All right. Well, then let's talk Thursday night.
Fine. So we'll continue we'll pick 5 games again. I think this weekend we should stick with that with college. We seem sure. I feel better about college right now than I do pro for whatever reason. Thursday night's interesting because in general, what we've seen in the NFL, Howard, as you know, is a lot of horrible primetime games. But we just got back-to-back great games. Thursday night, Raiders-Chargers, can't beat it. Game. Sunday night, Vikings-Cowboys, can't beat it. Last night's Monday night game, best Monday night game of the year. So...
No, it actually wasn't the best Monday night game of the year. I mean, it was great if you took Seattle in the points, but let's say you took San Francisco in a survivor pool, well, then where were you left?
Ooh, who ended up winning?
Is
everyone out? No, I know that. Is that who won that?
The 4 people who took Green Bay.
Oh my gosh, and they got lucky too. I mean, Carolina could have easily scored.
They got lucky too. So the Rams lost. The Colts lost. The Saints lost.
Yeah. It was the end for the survivor pool people for the most part.
Chiefs.
The Rams.
Dallas.
Somebody took the Rams.
Who took the Rams? I want to know the buffoon who took the Rams.
Exactly. So the question is Thursday night. How do you feel about the Steelers-Browns game? The Browns are laying 3 points. Yet another game where this line looks like, you got to be kidding me. How is Cleveland favored? It's they shouldn't be favored, but they are. And they played against Pittsburgh. By the way, I don't know if you saw, you watch all the games, but there was a play that I was watching and I thought we won because when I'm watching the games, I usually watch with sound down and I'm watching on like one laptop and a TV usually, like I'm going back and forth in my office and then scoring on the phone. And I'm sure you saw it, but if you didn't, there was a play very late in the game where the Browns had the ball and Mayfield tossed it to Chubb. and he dropped it, and it went in the guy in the Buffalo. He ran for a touchdown. I'm like, yeah, we got that one. And they call. I couldn't believe they overturned that. Yeah, I couldn't believe they overturned that. And I was like, this is probably not going to be our day. And Cleveland did go down and score. But anyway, look, they're giving Cleveland a little bit of respect still because of the talent they have on the field. The coaching is clearly horrible because, truthfully, Cleveland had so many opportunities to score touchdowns in this game, and they didn't. Rudolph.
Nick Chubb stuffed at the goal line.
I know.
7 times.
I know.
7.
And Pittsburgh's defense is played outstanding, and so you would think that there's at home, and Rudolph hasn't been great on the road either. So, I mean, my lean, I don't know. This is probably a stay away for me, to be honest with you. I mean, and going under on an NFL total that's like 40 or less is always so dangerous.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I don't think we're going to be picking this one this week.
But I'll lean Cleveland because it just has all those earmarks of it. Pittsburgh's strong run defense.
Everyone's taking Pittsburgh in this.
Everyone's taking Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Cleveland's probably the right pick. You're right.
Yeah.
In college this week, in terms of there's a lot of debate with now the Final Four. Should Georgia get in there after LSU ended up whacking Alabama? Alabama's right on the outside looking in. Georgia's 3-point favorites this Saturday against Auburn. If Georgia wins, they'll take their crack at Alabama or at LSU in the SEC championship game, most likely. And if Georgia was to beat LSU, that would end Alabama's chances for getting in the college football playoff because you would have to put Georgia in if Georgia beats LSU. If Georgia loses, Howard, on Saturday to Auburn, it falls right into Alabama's lap, because Auburn is ranked 12th in the country, and guess who they play in a couple of weeks? Alabama. So Alabama, as the 5th-ranked team, gets Auburn as like the 10th-ranked team, and you know what that means, more love for Alabama. So I know it's frustrating for a lot of people, but the Crimson Tide, in all likelihood, the way that this is trending, and you know what? I don't have a problem with it. They're going to play in the college football playoff in round 1, Alabama-LSU again. I think that's where we're headed, Howard. LSU number 1, Clemson, Ohio State 2 and 3. However that shakes out, they'll play each other, which should be a great game as well. A lot of scoring, and provided that Alabama wins out, I think that they're in. The nightmare for them would be Georgia beating LSU. You would, even though Georgia lost to South Carolina, after the way, Howard, you saw LSU play, how could you doubt that at this point? You know, LSU's been fantastic.
LSU has definitely been fantastic. I was going to ask you how you think that everything kind of unfolds there.
That's it.
Feel bad for my Golden Gophers, man. Come on, undefeated.
Yeah, they're not going to get in. Yeah, they're not going to get. Oregon is on the outside looking in. They would for Oregon to get in. I think what would have to happen is Georgia would have to lose to Auburn, but then come back and beat LSU, and still with 2 losses, they wouldn't put them in. Oregon and Utah, they're going to play in the Pac-12 championship, I believe. So one of those 2 teams will still have a chance. But look, a lot of people say it's SEC bias, but after watching that LSU-Bama game, I mean, come on, that was a fantastic game. Arguably the number 1 and number 2 picks in the draft. They scored 100 points. Like that's another game that I'd want to see again. And I think Clemson, Ohio State would be a great game too. And Trevor Lawrence has not had a great year for Clemson, but guess what? They put him right back in that spotlight again. Clemson's just had a cakewalk all year. Maybe Trevor Lawrence shows up in that game in the championship. So I think we're headed toward an awesome bowl season, man. I can't wait for that. So that's the. Is
this a cry for increasing the number of teams in the playoffs here for college?
A lot of people think it should go to 8 and give the first 2 teams a bye. That's the way that people see it. I think eventually that could happen, but the issue is, and I've talked about this a number of times. It's not an issue for us, and it's not an issue for TV ratings, but where the issue comes in is the bowl games themselves, Howard, outside of the top ones, don't want it, because that would basically eliminate, and there's already too many bowl games, but you'd be looking at 30 games that no one will have any interest in other than betting. No one will even go, because there's all these playoff games to go to. Who wants to go to these non-playoff games? So there's that mix right now where they haven't crushed all of bowl season because they wait all the way to the end and there's a semifinal and a final. But if they add more, oh man, like what will the Fiesta Bowl be? Will anybody care about the Cotton Bowl? Not that people even care that much about it now, but I don't think they want to eliminate that. They still want that to be special for the kids to get there. And even that's taking a hit because 6 wins gets you in at this point. You can go 6-7 and still get in a bowl game.
Well, why don't you just make the playoffs? Call them a bowl.
They kind of do that, but again, because of that, there's still so many other bowl games, and no one cares about the first few ones anyway. I mean, they play a bowl game in Detroit for freaking sake, like in December.
You don't like the Motor City Bowl, dude?
Yeah, like exactly. Like no one cares. No one.
It's not as good as the Cheez-Its Bowl.
No, it's not as good as the Cheez-Its Bowl or the Belk Bowl.
What about the Goldenberg's Peanut Chews Bowl?
Is that one?
That's a good.
Is that a real one?
No.
Okay.
Might as well be, though.
All right, quick look before we bail here in the NFL. You mentioned Houston, Baltimore, total 50, Ravens -4. Atlanta's total is 50, Carolina -6. Boy, Atlanta, look, I'm not a Freeman fan, and I like this kid Hill. I've been talking about him for weeks. I actually picked him up for it. I picked up Hill. I played Hill this week. People are like, no, you didn't. Yes, I did. I picked up Hill. I played Hill in fantasy, and I played Lamar Jackson. I still lost. That's how you know this is not my year. But anyway, Atlanta, without Hooper, without Freeman, coming off the biggest win of their life, there's no chance I'm taking Atlanta this week in anything. Now, look, they may win and cover against Carolina, but this is a horrible spot for the Falcons. Coming off that win and without their guys, can't do it. No line on the Cowboys and Lions, clearly because of Stafford. Jags, Colts is Colts -3. The Dolphins lines now are coming all the way down because of how they're playing. The Bills are -5.5. Dolphins have been amazing in the first half covering the spread. Go take a look back. You'll see they've covered almost every first half spread.
The Bills have been horrible.
They're playing bad. Yeah,
they're like the best good team with a winning record. They're the worst team with a winning record right now.
Yeah, but you know what? We did the live stream at the beginning of the year. They're going over that total.
Yeah.
7.5. We only need 2 more wins. Broncos at the Vikings, Minnesota -10.5, and the total is 39.5. So a lot of running in this game, and the way that Denver plays, they're going under every game. I mean, Denver literally all they do is run the ball. They just have no interest in throwing until they get near the goal line. Here's an interesting one: Saints -5.5 at the Bucks, and the total's 50.5. Do the Saints get pissed and rally in this, or are they just going to fade now, Howard? It seems like a lot of points on the road. Tampa seems like they can stay in any game. I mean, they could give away. They almost gave away the game last week against Arizona.
Tampa can, because they stuff the run. Like, that's the thing, is that you can't run on Tampa Bay, and I think the line that it looks like this right now, because I think Kamara and Latavius Murray are being kind of yanked out of the equation. But the problem is, and the thing is that when you're dealing with Breeze and Michael Thomas, you're dealing with Jared Cook over there also, and Ted Ginn. The secondary is so atrocious for Tampa Bay. Like, so really bad. Atrocious.
Yeah, Murray made a big mistake in that game. Arizona should have won outright. Why are the Redskins favored over the Jets? Redskins -1.5 in this. Any idea?
Because they're the home team. I mean, listen, the Jets are a joke of a team. I mean, really, I don't understand. Like, they played for what? For pride against New York, against the Giants in that game.
They played well.
They played well against a crap defense. And they're good.
Do the Redskins good defensively?
What's that?
You think the Redskins are good? I'm asking legitimately.
No, I don't. I think that this is another one where you're going to see a lot of ground game. I think you're going to see a lot of Lev Bell in this one. Yeah. And I would look at the Jets in this, just only because I think the defense going up against Dwayne Haskins and Terry McLaurin,
I'll tell you. Okay. So do you like Washington in that?
No, I don't.
Okay. Arizona played San Francisco 2 weeks ago. They're back playing this week. I'm telling you now, I don't know if Arizona is a pick for us or not, and I think the 49ers are going to be fine after last night's game. I really do. Seattle put their best game together. Kicker missed a field goal. I would not overreact to San Francisco. I think they win 13, 14 games still. But that being said, if you want to take the Cardinals this week, they're +11.5. I am telling you now, by the time we come back Friday, they're 10. There's no way that people are going to roll on Arizona and take them plus the points. So if you have a plan to take them in any pool or any betting, get on that now, because that dog is coming down. Bengals and Raiders, as you mentioned, Raiders -10.5. Patriots off the bye are 102. in their last 102 games
How
under
is it
Belichick.
How is it just a 3.5 spread? That I don't get.
I think Belichick is the historical leader off buys in the NFL covering. I got to take a look and see what his actual record is, but it is out of this world. His record coming off the bye. Patriots are -3.5. Eagles will roll. I think we're going to start taking the Eagles, but not yet. I'm not sure about this week, but the Eagles get a really soft next 5 weeks after this week. And then, they're stuck with this game on Sunday night, Howard. Bears and Rams. Rams are how are the Bears? How are the Rams 7-point favorites over anybody after the way they looked last week? Wow. I would lean towards Chicago in that one.
I would too, which is probably why we shouldn't.
Yeah, and we talked about
Trubisky will throw
and they didn't
4
score.
interceptions.
They didn't score in the first almost 2 quarters. They still didn't pull him, and then the third quarter he looked good. Really tough game to call there. What's the total in that one? 41.
41 and a half.
A low total. Yeah. Monday night Chiefs Chargers. I'm gonna be passing on that game. I don't know what to think with those two teams. So, so some interesting lines this week. We'll certainly get back to that. And there's usually we're getting close to like some upset time in college, because some teams that are big favorites know that they're not in it, and they start to fade a little bit, and vice versa with teams that are bad. By the way, does Rutgers play anybody this week? Have we looked into that yet?
I haven't seen the Nugget lines yet.
Northwestern is -40 over Massachusetts.
UMass.
The Army did beat them, by the way, by
crushed them.
Yeah.
Crushed them.
Ohio State is at Rutgers.
No. What's the line?
There's no line here. We got to check this.
72? What do you think the line's going to end up being?
I'm going to check. I'm going to guess 50. Let me see here. But what
Does
would
Ohio State run the score up on a team like Rutgers?
Yeah, why not? What would the total be? Oh my gosh, they're 52-point favorites at Rutgers, and the total is 61. Wait a second. How's that possible?
Right? How's Rutgers going to score?
Wait a second.
This is 63-0 written all over it.
But that means it goes over.
Right.
So you're basically betting Ohio State's team total here.
Yeah.
That is wild.
9 touchdowns.
It opened up. Hold on. The total opened up at 51.5 with Ohio State being 50-point favorites. How is that even possible? I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. I don't know. Well, Friday night we'll dive more into that.
We might have to take that game. We might just have to take that game.
Ohio State -50?
Yep.
All right. I guess I've never ever laid 50 points in any game, but I mean, I guess we got to should we look. I know this: if we go against UMass and Rutgers against the spread, we're going to win one of them. That I guarantee.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to lose both. So, but yeah, so good week in the Nugget again, and overall over 500 for the year. Can't ask for anything more than that. What is the lesson this year as we close this out in the Super Contest? The lesson is that every year is different. And while last year we had a lot of success in the Super Contest, this year our percentage is down from where it was last year, but the season is not over. And the other part of this, too, is that betting in the NFL with these contests gets really easy in week 16 and 17 because the lines are so different by the time the coaches say that players are not going to play and all that. So we'll pick up some steam. I think we went 4-1 or 5-0 back-to-back weeks to end the year. We will again. But the contest counts. Whatever the percentage is, it is at the end. We finish. We right outside the money on the mini contest for the I think we'll finish up strong. There's still a chance that we can still have the same percentage that we had last year, but we're always transparent about it here that our percentage is down from last year there. And in the Golden Nugget, we're on track to have a good season. We could still cash, so we'll see. There you go. That's gonna do it. Big thanks to Matt Sells, our producer. Big thanks to Monkey Knife Fight, our sponsors for the live stream. You guys like prop picks, prop games? Go to fantasyalarm.com/monkey and get involved over there. So that's going to do it for us. For Craig Mish, I'm Howard Bender. Thanks for tuning in to the Wager Alarm live stream. We'll catch you next time.